Welcome to the Marketing Main podcast. My name is Mike Peters. I'm your host today. And today on the show, we have an old friend of mine, fellow marketer, right now, live coming in from Thailand, Jeff Trimble. Hey,
What's
Jeff.
going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, I'm thrilled to have you here. I know we know each other for quite a while now, like a few years. Fellow 10Xer, I can
Yeah.
say that. So, you run your own marketing company. We already talked about that. You're mainly doing media buying, pay-per-click ads and so on. Tell me a little bit about like exactly what it is you do, and like now you're in Thailand, but you're still like focusing on the U.S. market, correct?
Yeah. So I guess I'll kind of give you the backstory. I own a full service digital marketing agency. We're moving more and more full service. For a long time, we focused very niche, media buying, Facebook ads, video ads. That's it. No photo ads, no nothing. But over the last about year and a half, we've started to scale that out into about more and more full service, offering services like email marketing, Facebook ads, video editing services, video reproduction, repurposing services, etc. Mostly in general to local businesses, brick and mortar stores, generally targeting pawn shops as of today. That's kind of been the niche that we've very much focused in. Everyone's like, pawn, how'd you get into pawn? It's a crazy story. But the solution of it all is that I'm kind of this hobby hustler. I'm this guy that loves to fix problems and loves to look at an impossible situation and do it. So I was reading this guy's business card, and this guy's his business card had a saying. It said something like hard, done instantly, impossible, might take 10 minutes longer. And I love that mindset. And that's kind of what I try to do with me. It's like, look at some sort of like hard projects. What is something that that we're trying to do that's different, that's weird, that's out of the box, and how can we help that industry, or how can we make something special happen with it? And that's kind of the story with Pawn today. Full remote. We're homeless technically. We travel the world full time. Currently in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Spent a week in Bangkok. We're gonna hop a jet and be in Vietnam in about a month from now, and then maybe Bali, maybe Europe. Who knows? We're gonna make it up as we go. But homeless. Now we're here.
Poor you.
I know.
Sounds horrible. Sounds
Under a
horrible.
bridge. Yeah,
I
it's the
feel for you,
worst.
bro. I feel for
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I know. I'm gonna be on the beach next month, on like the 25th floor of a building with an infinity pool on the 35th, overlooking the ocean, on a hotel that is
No.
the closest to the ocean in Vietnam. It's a miserable life. I can't
Yeah,
believe it.
I can only imagine. Sounds horrible to me. So did you really did you like burn all ships in the United States, or did you keep your apartment and everything?
Incredible question. I literally gave everything away. So I kept the most valuable assets, some like mementos, some things that are irreplaceable, some like childhood Christmas ornaments, things that my mom had given me, some baby blankets and baby stuffed animals.
Hmm.
Took that to my parents' place, but everything else, we had thousands of dollars worth of stuff in our place: TVs, furniture, beds, 2 different beds, bed frames, air fryers, espresso machines. And I looked at all of my friends one day and said, hey, I don't want to deal with selling this. You guys have been incredible friends to me. Who wants to come over and shop Jeff's apartment for free? Just come in and take whatever you want.
Oh, great.
And magically, all of it disappeared, which is incredible. It was the coolest, humbling experience ever, because all my friends were just so grateful. They're like, man, I wanted this. I've been wanting this for so long. I just never actually got one. And so I gave it all away. We even sold our car. So my little brother purchased our car. So we no longer own a car anymore either. And yeah, all gone down, except for my studio setup that I was telling you about that I had. So I kept my desktop computers and my laptops and a Nintendo Switch, and said, deuces. We went down to one backpack. Me and my girlfriend both hopped on the jet. One backpack and one carry-on of clothes. That's all that we owned as of today.
I
And
love that. I love that.
it's it.
I have like, I
It's
mean, when I
crazy.
came to the United States, I came here with two suitcases. Like
Yeah.
literally, like this whole deal was like, hey, um, jump on an airplane, go to another country, 2 suitcases. Everything I had was basically just clothes, like
Mm-hmm.
nothing else. Like, I mean, everything else, like to be frank here, it's like everything of value that I owned before, I also dropped at my parents' house. There wasn't much. I had a collection of like hats, I think.
Mhm.
But that was the, everything else like TVs and all that kind of stuff. Who cares? It's all like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
depreciating anyways by the minute. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
sold my car, sold everything. Um, yeah, never looked back. To be honest,
And
it's like
I love it.
that. It's, I mean, you know, you were born here, so for you, that's like, oh, that's the boring side of, defense. So for me, that was like the how do you say, like the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
Yeah.
So it's like for me, it's like a, you know, it's like Disneyland, just for
Mhm.
adults. So it's like really
Mhm.
the land of the opportunities, and it really didn't fall short on that for me. So no, I absolutely understand the urge to like see something new and make the world yours. It's traveling, does so much to you when it comes to your horizon, and also like your point of view on the world, your perspective. It's a totally different animal if you're like around the world, right? Like totally different culture. um
Mhm.
you're kind of a tourist, but you're kind of not, so
Yeah, you get to kind of experience when you're out and about like this. You get to get experience when you're in here for a long period of time. You get to experience the world in a different way, Thailand in a different way than you ever would, before, because you're here for an extended period of time. So you get to go behind the scenes, and
yeah.
you get to see parts of that just the standard tourist wouldn't. And this isn't the first time that I've spent a long period um, outside of the states. I mean, I spent months at a time in Mexico and things like that. So it's really incredible, though, you know the the perspective that you gain when traveling. And so I genuinely am blessed that this is even a possibility, man. It's
Yeah. Have you been before? Like in
to
Thailand?
Thailand.
Yeah.
No, never been this far away from home. Never been to Southeast Asia. Never been to Asia at all before. I've been a little bit to Europe, and Mexico. That's kind of it. Yeah,
Okay. Well, that sounds exciting, And then
yeah.
like,
It's
so you're running everything remote, right? So
mhm.
it's like all your marketing clients, they're all still in the United States. You're running everything from Thailand now. How does like what is, because a lot of people always ask us like, yeah, there's always like the cheap marketers, the cheap graphic designers and video editors and all that kind of stuff, like around the world, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam,
Mhm.
those countries. And then like the problematic there oftentimes is that the time difference, the time zones, like that's
Mhm.
a huge problem. How do you handle that?
Dude, that's the bane of my existence right now is the time zones. It sucks, truthfully, honestly. It 1,000% sucks. And there's nothing you can do about it. You have right now in the States versus here in California, I have a 15-hour time zone difference. So at midnight, my time is like an hour before they open their stores in California. So you stay up later, but you just adjust to that. So what happens is how do you cope, or how do you handle that? You have to time block. And Asia is probably the worst place when going Asia to the States because the time zone is opposite or so far extremes. But you have to time block. You have to put into your calendar and say, you know what, I'm working from this time to this time, regardless, no excuses, because my job first and foremost is to make sure that there's capital coming in, cash going into the bank account. So this is a choice I made. So this is a sacrifice I'm going to have to make that matches up with that choice. And the sacrifice is, well, I have to stay up till 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning to do phone calls with clients, even if I don't want to. There's days where like, dude, I'm spent, I'm tired. It's 1:30 in the morning and I don't feel motivated. I'm like, dude, it's 1:30. Well, for the client, it's 11:30 in the morning, noon, and they're expecting a phone call. So that's what I have to do. Um, Working with Filipinos or other individuals that we're outsourcing projects to, because we work with a good percentage of Filipinos. Um, it's quite simple. Just have things pre-scheduled, and same idea, have things delegated off to them, because a good team member that you have working with you shouldn't need to be babysat every minute of every day. You should be able to assign them projects and goals and then go out and fix the project problems, then things that arise without you. And so it's like they can ask any questions, and my chief executive assistant that we have here, my now kind of operations manager or whatever, she's absolutely incredible. Her name's Shane. She knows that she needs to ask all questions in the first 4 hours of her day, so that way she can be prepared to finish the back half of the day. And she said that a million times over to everybody, like, your expectation is to get as much information out of Jeff as you possibly can in the first 4 hours of your day. Otherwise, you failed your job, because you're not going to have the information you need to be successful. So it's about finding an employee that has the right mindset, team member that has the right mindset, but also time blocking, saying, you know what, this is the sacrifice I make to live the life that I want to live, right? Everything comes with the yin and yang, right? You have to, if you want to achieve that or want to travel, then you have to be willing to pay the price that it comes with it. Grant Cardone, right? Pay the price today so you can pay any price tomorrow.
Right.
But whatever it is that you want to achieve or whatever you want to do, there's a cost that comes with it. Most of the time, most people don't realize what the cost is. So pay the cost.
Yeah, that's pretty true. So that so much to like time zone issues. The you know, I know that from like, I mean, I work a lot with my first business in the industrial automation world, manufacturing. You know, a lot of clients from Europe. It's not that bad. It's like 6 to 9 hours, depending on where you are. When we were working at the Tesla Model 3 launch a few years ago, you know, that was 9 hours. That was already like bad, because, you know, you would, you know, if you would stay up, you know, until like 11, 12 or what at night, then, you know, the day was already almost starting in Europe again, you know. So it was like 9 hours was already on the brink of being very awful, right? So but even 6 hours sometimes sucks, you know, especially if you're working in more of an industrial setup, right, where everyone works 9 to 5, you know. It's, you have this window of a few hours in the morning that you can get information and get stuff done, and then everyone goes home and no one wants to be bothered in their spare time, and, you know, that's a big problem too. And I absolutely understand. Like I said, with the marketing company, I don't have those issues yet, because we're mainly working here in the United States. But, you know, I feel the pain there with you, like from my other projects. So it's quite difficult. So, and then, you know, like you're saying you do mostly media buying and pay per click, right? So
yeah.
what's the number one platform right now, in your opinion, where to spend your money? Where do you get the most out of your advertising dollars?
That's such a broad question. I love it, but I want to give context to it, right? The number one place is relative to whatever the industry is that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for me, so to give context, we work with pawn, and pawn shop customers are averaging, you know, the average customer is 35 to 55, maybe a little bit older, which is the generalized demographic of Facebook. So Facebook is quite aging of a platform. But that changes for certain other things. So there's times where like pawn shops have luxury goods too, jewelry, handbags, and there's a younger generation or a female demographic that is really passionate about those items, right? And so that, when we do things of that sort, we'll switch it over to go to Snapchat as well. So Snapchat has actually a very incredible advertisement platform that just most people don't realize. Very cost effective when it comes for CPMs, cost per views. And so Snapchat's really, 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 really powerful right now. But honestly, this is what I tell most people, right? If you're just getting started in advertisements, or you're looking for something in general, start out with the organic stuff right now. And this is, timestamp this, November 21st, 2022, right? This is the best time in human history when it comes to creating content, because the organic reach right now is so powerful. There is not another platform, or there has been a long time since like TikToks and Shorts and all of that have been actually giving you free organic reach. Instagram for ages has been pay to play, only able to run ads. So if you're a small business owner, you're just getting started, learn to create shorts, learn to create reels. And I would prefer most people to get started on that, because then you can get comfortable on camera. You can get comfortable pitching your product and your service and being creative. And when you find a TikTok ad that works, or TikTok video or Instagram video that works, use that as an ad on whatever platform it took off on. That's your answer for what works for you, right? And is go organic, something will catch. When that catches, run that as an ad, drive a traffic to a landing page, a message offer, etc.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, we're all about the organic here, right? So we're doing the video podcast, we're doing the shorts, we're doing, you know, all kinds of like short form content for all kinds of platforms, right? YouTube shorts, for example, highly underrated at this point, I think.
Yeah. 1000%.
YouTube was the the only, not the only platform, but like a very unique platform when it comes to the short form content, because you can also have your long form content right next to it,
Hmm.
right? It's
Hmm.
like, hey, if you follow me here on my short, right? If you watch that over and over and then multiple ones, then you also get shown the long form content where you can like, explain your product or, be helpful in any other ways. And people start to trust you to see you more often. And then when you really run an ad to them, their like your customer acquisition costs just went down because they see and click and buy,
Hmm. Yeah,
because they
yeah.
already know you, they already trust you. That's the beauty of YouTube, absolutely. But also like the other platforms like TikTok and Instagram, Facebook,
Hmm.
not to be underestimated either. What do you think about those TikTok copycats like Likey and all those other ones that are very, yeah, very much like TikTok?
Oh, the new platforms that are trying to knock it off and do something very similar.
Yep.
My thoughts are, where the attention goes, money flows. So if there's eyeballs on the platform,
Hmm.
there's people watching it, then play the game for a little bit, right? So I don't know if any of you guys here will listen to the podcast remembers Clubhouse, or even if you remember
Right.
Clubhouse,
I
it
do.
was it was something that came up and went down faster than I've ever seen it before ever.
I'm
But
not sure that it's down, to be honest. Like I
it's not.
still
It's
have a
not.
lot of people on there. Like I get like pinged like every other minute by Clubhouse. And I really, really like the platform. My problem is that, I like to drink in the evening. I'm German. So and I'm more of a listener than I'm a talker. I have a lot to say,
Yeah,
and I would like to go on there and talk more, but mostly when I really listen to it, then I'm a few drinks in, and I don't want to make a fool out of myself, so I don't
yeah,
do
yeah.
that. But the platform itself, I think, is great. But then uh, I think they just made a feature out of that for a lot of other platforms.
Generally speaking, the traffic, the point that I was going to, the traffic flow from its peak is like 10% of what it was at one point. And so
Mhm.
it's like it still exists. There's still people talking on there. There's still stuff 1,000%. But if with the new platforms that you're asking, what do I think about them? There's going to be a wave, if there is ever a wave, um, to acquire traffic, and if there's eyeballs on it, then there's going to be a play for it, right? I think I'm personally more excited for Twitter to make a rebound, because I think that
Oh yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
huge possibility. But if you look at a lot of the other like Facebook knockoffs, there's been millions of them that have come through Friendster, or there's a couple of them. There was dude, I'm drawing a blank. There was an invite only one. There was like 6 or 7 of them that I have like 4 of them installed on my phone. None of them really go anywhere because there's nothing unique about any of them, and there has to be like an IP attached to it. So as a knockoff, a lot of times, if you're not first to market, then you don't stand a chance, right? The only reason Snapchat still exists is because they were first to market. It was this whole stories feature that made Snapchat super popular. You could post
Mhm.
stories that would disappear in 24 hours, and you'd send texts that would disappear in 24 hours. And that's what made Snapchat amazing. All the other platforms knocked them off. Now people use them on Facebook and Instagram too, for sure. But Snapchat still exists because it was first to market, right? So,
Right, but like it never really got it to I mean, for me, for example, just like out of my own experience, Snapchat really never did it for me. Like
mhm.
I think I signed up twice and never used it. I have it
It's the younger
installed.
generation.
It's no, well, yeah, thanks for reminding me. No, it's true. It's true. It's like what is true for you or for your generation doesn't necessarily have to be true for me or my generation or for
That is
a
correct.
generation, like I'm like the last year of Gen Xers, right? And then millennials and then Gen Z and like even the boomers or whatever you want to call them, they have a very different behavior online on social media too, right? I mean,
Exactly.
if I just look at a lot of like the boomers, right? Depending on who you talk to, my parents, for example, they don't have any accounts, right? It's like I think my dad has a WhatsApp, but that's it, right? To like communicate with his like peers or whatever. Like my mom has a Facebook account just to stalk me, right? But that's it. That's it. Like they don't trust the internet, like And then you have the ones that are more internet affine, and they are all over the place, but mostly on Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then some of them, you see some of them on Instagram, but not very many. That's, I mean, imagine like 10, 12 years ago, Facebook was just born, right? And everyone's
Mm-hmm.
thought that's, it's going to go away very soon. And now, like, it was all like college students, and now it's all grandfathers and grandmothers, right? And like my generation, like you just said,
Mm-hmm.
35 to 55 or older.
Mm-hmm. And but that goes back to your original point, of what is the best platform to advertise on? Well, it's the
Hmm.
platform that your audience is on,
What's your
right?
what's your target audience, right? So
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Who are you looking for? And what's your data source too? What's the targeting options for that audience or that data
mm,
source? And so, like Facebook, a lot of times has lookalike audiences and things like that you can upload email lists or databases and say target these individuals, and it'll run it direct to those data sources.
okay. What do you think about all this like iOS anti-tracking? Did that did that give you a hit or?
So for many it did, right? For many it did. It's very, very powerful. So what they did is Facebook took a hit in terms of cookie conversions of what they're tracking for in-app data. iOS 15.5 or 14.5, whatever it was, just murdered a lot of like e-commerce brands. And now they're doing a weird server side
Mhm.
call that
Yeah.
kind of gets around it, but that's just a band-aid fix for now. If Apple wants to ban it, they're going to ban it. So it
I don't know. Like the thing is that the server to server tracking, and we use that too in our businesses with our ads. It's a little bit different. It's not as powerful anymore as it was before, because the only thing you're tracking now is like, okay, have you been on that website, right? So me as a marketer, I can only target really like I only know that they were on my side. I don't know anymore that they were on Nordstrom and any other site, where I can then like maybe target them that way, right? So
Mhm.
you don't have like, it's not that good anymore, but it's still, you can at least retarget the people that were interested in your product.
Mhm. So I think that's it forces you to be a little bit better as a marketer, right? You have
Yeah.
to be able to speak directly to the individuals that you're looking for, and that's really the real thing. I have this saying: when you're speaking to everybody, you're speaking to nobody, and that's the big impact that I think that happened
Yeah.
with Facebook ads is that a lot of people were shooting their ads a lot too broad, and then the targeting was just really easy to target into exactly who you're thinking for, and allowed for lazy videos to be created to be successful, or just a photo free product or whatever. And when all that went away, you now have to be able to harpoon your audience running ads that directly speak to the individual's pain points and whatever to be successful. It kind of shook out the tree, but it also makes it harder for people to scam people out of the crappy dropship companies
Yeah.
that were so
Yeah.
successful. Those companies aren't successful anymore because they have to. Russell Brunson has this saying: the person who could spend the most money to acquire a customer wins. Well, a
Hmm.
lot of those drop shipping companies were running on razor thin margins, and they could only afford to spend, the cost per acquisition of $11 because their profit margin was 17. Now their
Hmm.
cost per acquisition is $25, and they're still only making $17, and now they're running a loss to acquire a customer,
Yeah.
and they have no upsell or follow-up method or emails to upsell them into a next product or the next
Yeah.
thing to increase the LTV of a customer because they're selling some shit ass product from China, right?
Right.
And so I think that big businesses will always win on brand recognition ads. You don't see Nike, or you don't see Coca-Cola asking questions on CPM or where should we run ads. They're like, who the hell can we buy all the advertisements on and put our name on the side of any building? Let's go bribe movie theaters across the country to only put Coca-Cola inside the movie theater, right? Let's go talk to
Yeah.
restaurants and do the same thing where it's only this one Coca-Cola thing through restaurant. We're going to pay them because their margins are so high. It costs them 2 pennies to put out a Coke that is sugar water, right? And they sell it for $3, $4. So they have a giant percentage of margin, and they know the lifetime value of their customers through the roof. Same thing with Starbucks. They say something like the lifetime value of a Starbucks customer is like $26,000 or something. The average person that goes to Starbucks is going to spend like 26K over
26,000 in a
yeah.
lifetime. All right. So,
There,
but it's like, but you're nailing this down. Like, I love that. You know exactly what you're talking about. I always like, that's the first question I ask, right? I come in with a client and I'm like, well, do you know two metrics, right? What's your customer acquisition cost, and what's the lifetime value of that customer for you?
Yeah.
And like, you have no idea how many people look at me like, what are you saying?
What does that
Like, I
even
don't,
mean?
what does it mean? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm not
Hmm.
talking about like, necessarily small businesses, right? I had a bank, like I had a delegation of a bank in here, and I asked them that, and they were like, well, we don't know. I was like, well, let's find out. I never heard, I never heard back from
Anything
them.
from them?
That
Yeah.
the thing is this, like, hey, if you don't know, like, how do you want to measure what I do for you?
Hmm.
Right? It's like, I mean, for me, um, I remember like, back in the days, like you called yourself like the honest marketer, right?
Yeah.
I
Still the
remember,
deal.
I remember, I remember. So like, it's, I like, I live like that too. It's like, I have those rules, right? It doesn't matter which business of mine. I want to be always very frank and honest with everyone. I cannot afford to be like, shady or anything, because
Hmm.
my reputation, I only have that one reputation, right? The thing is this, I find more work somewhere else. That's not the problem, right? I do that all
Hmm.
the time. I round up work like on a daily basis, but what I can't round up again is my reputation. I only have that
I
one,
agree.
right?
I
So
agree.
that's very, very important for people to understand. We as marketers, we can only serve you well if you know what's going on in your business. And if you don't know right now, like, we help you, like, acquire those metrics, put the KPIs in place and everything, but you have to let us, right? And then
Exactly.
only that way we know, okay, so here's your customer acquisition cost today. you know what's the goal? What would be
Hmm.
ideal for you? Like, where can we get this like down to, right? And then at the same
Hmm.
time, it's like, okay, how can we raise the lifetime value of your customer, where it is, from where it is right now to like where you need it to be you know a success with your business,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
There's a lot of people
Yeah.
don't get the concept. A lot of people just don't get the concept.
Yeah, and I have this saying as a marketer, because you can't help everybody. First off, anybody that's listening to this, that's looking to start a business or wanting to be successful, you cannot help everybody. You do not want to help everybody, and it's like that's what he was talking about a second ago, was trying to, like, I don't want to help you if you don't have your shit together. And I have this saying that it's like, my job as a marketer is to put wind in your sails. You're a boat, your business is a boat, but you as a company need to have your boat at least put together enough, know where you're steering it to, the direction in which that you're going, and have the sails mostly built for me to blow air into it, to like put gas onto the fire. If you don't have a fire already, me just dumping gas onto the ground is not going to do anything. And so it's
Exactly.
like, it's knowing your customer. It goes back to tying back into the original marketing thing a second ago. Everything's about knowing who you have, or who your customer is, where they are, how you can really help them, what is their problem,
Also,
and
like,
what do you
what you
fix.
said, like, you want to qualify them, right? It's like,
Oh,
hey,
1000%.
I don't want to waste your time because I know you're a difficult customer, right?
Oh
Or
yeah.
I don't like, right? I don't want to waste my time and make my life hell, right? Because I can serve with my time, I can serve way less difficult customers, in a way better way. It's like way more effective if you know what you where you want to go and where you're coming from. It's way easier for me to actually get you there, right?
Hmm.
I had this uh, uh, when we had grand opening here a few months ago. We had this one couple come in here. They run an ice cream truck or whatever, like a one-off thing, and they were like talking about taking this like national franchise, right? I was like, well, do you know what such an endeavor would cost you, like making a national franchise out of this? um and they were like, no. I was like, well, you we're talking about at least of like a 500K marketing budget per year, like minimum, bare minimum, right? And they were looking at me like I was like talking another language, right? And
Hmm.
when I offered them a service, right, I was like, hey, how much do you want to spend, and they were like, well, they were aiming for something like, I don't know, $50 a month or something like that. I was like, well, why are we talking, right? Like, why
Yeah,
are we
yeah.
talking? Like, you don't know where you want to be. You don't know what that means. You don't know, anything regarding marketing, and that's why you are so small.
Hmm.
It, you know, why would I don't want to offer anything to those people, right? I'm not
Yeah,
saying they're
you can't
bad.
help, you can't help
If you
them yet.
can't
They're
help
not
them,
ready to.
no, no.
But But that's the problem with most businesses just in general, whether it's businesses, business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs, is that they don't really understand the complexity of what it is that they're trying to achieve. And they never spend enough time to dissect or take apart their goal in which they're trying to accomplish and try to like micro plan each step of the way, right? They try to take this big old vision. I want to eat an elephant, right? And I want to have this elephant that I conquer and I eat this whole thing. But they never ask themselves, how are they going to put a whole elephant in their mouth, right?
Right.
You don't. And there's an old adage of how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time. But a lot of times that just most people don't ever dissect their goals. Okay, in order to lose 150 pounds, I'm going to have to lose 15 pounds a week or whatever the goal is, 150 pounds in a year, divide that by 12. Now that's 10 pounds a week or whatever the number, 10 pounds a month.
Impossible.
Yeah, 10
Yeah.
pounds a month. Okay, what does it really take to lose 10 pounds a month?
Right.
Well,
It's like that's
the
the thing.
average
Like
the average
for
pound is like 2,500 calories. So you have to be in a deficit every month of like 25,000 calories. And it's
Mhm.
like, you don't eat anything to do that, so it's like, they just, again, research.
Delusional.
Delusional. Yeah.
Delusional. Unfortunately, we have to call it like that. A lot of people don't know. They have a lot of dreams and a lot of like goals and everything, but they don't put the work in the research in, or the time, use their time properly to like research what
Why do
it
you
would
think that is?
take. Um, I don't know. It's like lazy. Like like I said, delusional.
I
Delusional.
I have a different
Arrogance.
take.
Arrogance. It's a lot of arrogance with that too. To be honest, like now I'm like in my 40s now. I have worked with a lot of people, startups, all my life. I like the first business endeavor that the first startup I worked for was 1997. It was a record label in a record store where people wanted the moon, but they wanted the moon to come to them and not somehow get there. um and throughout my whole career, right, as a promoter, as a industrial engineer, as you know now a marketer, right, it's always the same. You have those people that they're having goals, but they don't know how to get there, and they're too arrogant to actually see that they're wrong and that they have to change stuff in order to get where they want to be, right? And that's a big problem. For me, I see this no matter where, in Europe as well as here in the United States. I
I
see it in
think
Canada. Doesn't even have anything to do with culture or
I think
with a
I
nation.
partly agree, right? I partly agree that there's a big percentage of that. But what I believe that it is mostly is that I believe our younger generation hasn't been taught how to do the proper problem solving skills. And it's not even necessarily their big goals. I think that you're partly right about that. They think that they deserve this, or they have an improper perspective what the giant goal or giant number is. I want to be a millionaire. I want to make $1 million a year. And they have zero perspective of like what even a 6-figure income is in the United States. Like your top like 5% of the United States income earners, if you're 6-figure, right? You're like, if you're 6 foot tall as a man and you make 100,000 plus a year, it's like 0.001% of the United States Americans that are that, right? It's like some tiny percentage. And don't quote me on the exact number, but some ridiculously tiny percentage. So first off, I think that there's a little improper perspective about that. But I don't think there's a problem with shooting for the moon and asking for it and having the audacity to dream big. I think the problem comes down to the problem solving skills in order to get there. I don't think the average person actually really understands how to dissect a problem and think circles around a problem without being too emotional upon themselves, right? Without like taking too much of their own thoughts from what they've achieved before them. Their common sense, which is just bullshit anyway. The average person's common sense. We could talk about that anyway. But without taking their past experiences and saying, hey, this is how it is, and making too many assumptions. In order to be successful in business or even entrepreneurship marketing, you have to start with zero, at zero, almost every problem that you're looking to accomplish. You have to look at the problem, assume you know nothing about the problem, dissect the problem, and then sometimes you're lucky and say, hey, I have like 17 tools that I've done parts of this before. But if you didn't start from zero, you would create this giant mess of problems and assumptions.
Yeah.
My point is that I don't think anybody knows how to start from zero and create the thing from nothing. And I
Well,
think
right.
that comes from
But
a lot
then
of Western culture.
again, like that is, and it's obvious always, like, when we talk the perspective, right?
It's
So
perspective. Yeah,
perspective, right? You have a perspective from your point of view, right?
of
I have
course.
one from my point of view because, like I said, like I'm in my 40s now. I'm coming from a different continent. I was not even talking about the Gen Z people, right? Like
Oh
the
yeah,
younger
yeah, yeah,
generation. I was
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about Gen X and
Yours. Yeah.
older, where it was this, it's the same problem, right? It's I agree with you that the problem solving skills of a lot of people, and that doesn't matter which generation, are just not there, because like they're looking at a problem and then they're focusing on the problem, and
Hmm.
you will never really like, or it's going to be very very hard to solve a problem while focusing on the problem, right?
Hmm.
So I mean, I'm an engineer by trade, right? I solve problems for a living. The thing is this, that I try to not focus on the problem, right? Because you will not, you will create more of the problem if you focus on the problem. So you should focus on the outcome you want to have, right? And then that way you create the outcome and you don't like hang on to the problem.
Hmm.
It's my personal experience with like a lot of like problems that we have in the manufacturing world, right? So we're creating software, we're creating solutions for manufacturing. We automate production lines, assembly lines, and so on. We're automating processes, and if we concentrate on problems, then we will not create the solutions that we actually need. So, and that's a very common problem with people, that they are, because once they figure out there is a problem, that's already like a benefit, actually, that that you have a problem, because a lot of people have a problem, they don't even know they have the problem, because they're just finding workarounds and whatever. But like, let's say someone figures out there is a problem, right? And it's people that are not like around the plant, or like the you know the problem causing machine or whatever, the 100%, right? Because they don't they come with a different point of view, right? From an
Hmm.
like outside of the box thinker, because you live outside of that box, right? You come in, you're like, well, that doesn't look right. Why is it like that, right? There's a problem. The guy that
Hmm.
works there 24/7 says, well, I didn't even know I have a problem. I don't like,
Hmm.
it's like that forever, right? We just
Yeah,
find a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
workaround. We don't solve the problem because we don't see it as a
Well,
problem, right?
there's a saying that I have with that too. You can't see the full picture when you're inside the frame, right? And I
Yeah.
don't know who said that first. I stole that from somebody else, but I think that's the biggest problem that most people have in problem solving is they're stuck in their. This is actually what I think a lot of this boils down to is there's this bobbing of the head in the ocean. The average American, I'm going to go off of Americans, probably world, but the average American is just barely making it by, right? They're barely have enough money to pay for their bills, and right now they probably don't have enough of that. They barely have enough money to pay for their rent and everything covered up and whatever it is that they want to do. They're barely. So their head, picture them, their financial situation, they're swimming in the ocean, they're bobbing in the ocean. The only thing that they're trying to do is just get enough money to get air, to get air, to get air. And if you're in a swimming pool or the ocean and waves are smacking you and you're, drowning in a sense of getting air, the only thing you can think about is how do you get up a little bit higher to catch that air, right? And you don't have any time to think about like what direction's the shore, how do I swim to the shore, or maybe I should float on my back or whatever. So you get caught up in just your instinct of driving through the problem, your emotional state to solve that problem. You're trying to do that, so you don't have enough time to actually create something because you're stuck. And I think that that's the biggest
Yeah,
misconception.
okay, but that's I mean, there's something to that, but there's also a lot to be said, especially in the United States or Europe, or uh, literally like a lot of the parts of the world, where you have access to the internet. All right.
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no excuses. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Like,
There's no like at this point there's no excuses
none,
anymore, because
zero. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it, it's not your fault that you are where you are, you know
No, but it's your
if
responsibility
you
to fix
are
it.
in right if you are in a country that gives you access to the internet and you are on TikTok and you are on YouTube just to consume stuff, there's enough stuff to consume to show you
Dude,
that the way you're
I'm in
doing it right now is wrong.
I'm in Thailand right now. The average person here probably makes $300 a month. Last Saturday, 3, 4 days ago, we went to this nightclub, this outside bar, and there's a fucking Lamborghini parked in the driveway. And I was just like utterly shocked that there's like this one person that has this abundance in Thailand. It's this monarchy, and everybody's poor. And like all the meals are like $4 a meal. A taxi ride is like a 30-minute taxi ride is like $12. I'm like, this guy's not making any money after he pays for gas. But there's still a way that one dude still managed to make a Lamborghini. You know, it's like even here where your opportunities are bleak when it comes to a job form, somebody created that abundance somehow. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter where you are. There's abundance everywhere. It might be harder where you are. Like, don't get me wrong. You might have drawn the short straw, but at the end of the day, you still have a straw, bro. You still drew
Right.
one.
It's like that's the point. It's like and coming back to the whole marketing, right? So nowadays, like I mean, we call ourselves marketers because we run a marketing agency. But I was a marketer before I founded my agency because I had another business. So I'm a salesperson, I'm a marketer, I'm everything, right? So, but before that, I was a marketer too because every time I applied for a job, right, I was a marketer for myself, like I put my marketing material was my resume, my marketing material was my pitch to the person, right? What have I done? Here's my experience, da 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 da, right?
Yeah.
You're marketing all the time. Before
Oh
that,
yeah.
I was a marketer because I wanted stuff from my mother, right? So I had to market to like get the new pair of jeans or shoes or whatever I wanted, right? So the thing is this, like sales and marketing, in my opinion, there are two different things, but
Oh, completely.
we're all salespeople and we're all marketers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
The question is, how good are you at that? And then
Yep.
again, like taking this, right, this year is so powerful. Even if you don't have any dollars for ad spends, you can build yourself as
Dude,
up as an
I
authority in whatever you're best at, and then
I went
make a product out of that.
I went from $56,000 in credit card debt to 100% paid off in a year and a half and building a marketing agency that does $30,000 a month with zero ad spend. Like, all I did was prospect people for free messages through LinkedIn and Instagram. I sold over 6 figures of coaching consulting shit all off the back of free traffic, off of just talking to people in Facebook, talking to people on Facebook.
Mhm.
No ads, no nothing. And the average person doesn't need 6 figures. You need an additional $10,000 or $20,000 to get yourself above the water to then be able to, think a little bit. You make 50 G's extra this year. The average person, you could take a whole year off.
Yeah.
If you reduce all your BS extra spending and cancel
Yeah.
Netflix and stop going to Starbucks in the States, right? You could take a whole year off. You had an extra 50 G's in the bank. And let me tell you what, dude, if you had a whole year off to just think about creating something, dude, I mean, all you really need, this is what I tell people, if you want to get started and you want to be successful, you need 3 months of your nest egg, of your nut, covering your nut, your minimum expenses, cutting down everything, 3 months of bills in the bank, and say, you know what, I'm going to roll the dice. If you don't have kids or family and all of that, that's
Right.
what
I
I
mean,
did.
again, coming back to perspective, right? So, like me being like an older gentleman, uh, five kids. All right,
Yeah,
five
yeah,
kids.
it's a different story. You have a lot more
Different
responsibilities.
story, right? Like I have
Yeah.
my expenses are a little bit higher because I need a house and I need this and I need that. I need 2 cars so the wife can like is mobile with the kids and stuff like that. Um, while I'm working, of course.
Mhm.
The thing is this, but you have the opportunities, right? You can just like what you said, right? In your case, you look, it's great if you're young, if you have that
Mhm.
mindset. If you're young like you, right, this is awesome, right? You can fuck up a few times and no one cares, right?
Loads of times and no one gives a shit. I fucked up so many times, bro.
So that's the thing. I always had look that my problem was always like I fucked up a lot of times too. Like don't get me wrong. When I was
That's how you
young and
learn,
I
man.
had a family pretty early in Germany, right? So I was I got married when I was 21. First kid was 24. Second kid was 27. Right. Throughout that time, I had a day job. Industrial manufacturing. Caterpillar, American company in Germany. I had side hustles going, right? I
Hmm.
was a promoter for my own event business. I was like, a manager for college bands and all that kind of stuff, was fucking up like crazy, right? Always like marketing the shit out of that, and had some successes, but never the big deal, right?
Hmm.
I had a consultancy in Germany just before I left to the United States that was finally making money so that I could live, right?
Hmm.
So quit my day job and ran my business, but then the opportunity knocked, and I was offered a job to like build up a service branch here in the United States, right? So I came over here and did exactly what I always did. Now like I marketed their company, I promoted their company, and we were able to like blow up revenue for them too. The thing is, then when I started my own business, coming back to what you said, right? I had credit cards, two credit cards. I had a credit limit of, I would say, about 10,000. Um, we lived in the house of my wife that she flat out owned. Like no mortgage on it, no rent payment, anything. That helped really the first few months, and then I just started marketing my business. Right. I went from there. That was like 2016, end of 2016, to where I am right now, doing multiple seven figures, right? Out of nothing, right? Just like went at it. It was going up and down, up and down, up and down. The worst year ever I had was that company. I think I made 110 by myself, like as a
Hmm.
freelancer, right? So,
Hmm.
and I was devastated that year, to be honest, because I'm expecting more of myself. But
Hmm.
if you're like a young guy like you, or anyone else like watching this, right? 110K brings you already in the top 5%,
Yeah.
right? And depending on the state you live in, especially in the United States, right? That's you know, that some in some places even takes you up to like the top 3%, or I mean,
And if you're doing that remote, 110K remote, you can fly down to Colombia, you can fly down to
yeah, I
Thailand,
can I
live
couldn't
like
do
a
that. I couldn't do
fucking
that.
king.
Like my business was and still is a very very hands-on on-site kind of thing. I had to travel a lot. That's also cool, but like I always have to be on site. We're doing industrial automation, meaning we're flying somewhere and like setting up their line, and commissioning the line and making sure that the ramp up runs well and all that kind of stuff. So the remote work was never an option for me in that regard, right? So was marketing is a little bit different, but then again, like we went for a very physical approach to marketing. We offering um podcasts, right? Like video podcasts, audio podcasts, and all everything that comes with it to the public here in East Tennessee, right? So for everyone that doesn't know, here this is our podcast room. um I'm just like alone today here on an online podcast, but like we have our whole setup run by a producer from here where I sit today, and then we have um that you know we offer this is physical. I can't do that remote, right? What you could do is like you record your own podcast, send it to me, we do all the editing, we do all the strategy for you, done. But like this is like a bigger production, right? But if you just run pay-per-click ads or a media buy or whatever you want to call that, then yes, you are even like this, like back in the days they called that digital nomad or what, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It's,
you
it's
can
still
you
the same. Expat, digital nomad. Yeah.
you can run that live. You can run that company from anywhere in the world,
Yep.
with some hiccups like we talked earlier, where you do have those problems with the time zones and stuff. But that's like really the the least the least amount of problems. It's like just stay up longer, shift your day a little bit, like you said, stay up longer, sleep in, then lay at the beach because no one of your customers is awake anyways, and then do the work in the evening.
Exactly. Most of my work doesn't matter when the work gets done. So I find myself looking at the clock and saying it doesn't matter if I do it at 2 p.m. my time or 5 p.m. my time, because either way, the client's asleep and it makes no difference.
Right.
And so it creates this
But
incredible
this,
freedom.
I mean, with any other business too, especially when you do the remote work, when you don't have the physical, when you're not going on site somewhere, it takes a lot of discipline. and that's
Oh,
also
a
what
fuck ton of discipline,
a lot of people missing that. It's like
more than you
discipline.
know.
Now
Yeah.
you have to hold yourself accountable, right? It's
Yep.
like, hey, yes, it doesn't matter when I do it, but if I,
If I don't do it, I'm
procrastinate,
fucking fired, bro. Like
right,
it's gone.
right.
The money dries up. You're done.
So it's true, if you're a business owner, no one will fire you from your business, but your
But
customers
your
can fire
clients
you.
will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
will. They will. If you fuck up, then you fuck up.
Yeah,
That's like,
exactly.
the thing is this, like, everyone thinks like, oh, I want to be my own boss. I want to have my own business. And that is like true. Like most small businesses that are founded for that one reason alone.
But
I want to
this
be my own boss. I don't want to have anyone telling me what to do anymore. And
this
that's
is the thing
also,
that nobody will tell you about, though, about that
yeah,
thought. Cool. I want to start
that's,
my own boss. I don't want nobody to tell me what to do anymore. That's awesome. But the amount of pressure that it takes to run a business, especially when you start having 11 employees, 11 different families count on me to bring home a paycheck every month.
yeah.
Can you imagine going to
I,
sleep at night, questioning where the next paycheck's going to be? Not for yourself, but for 11 other people that
yeah.
you know their kids,
Now
that you know their
your
husbands.
family is like so big. Like the first time I had a full-time employee, and that was a full-time employee that had 3 kids. Man, I could not sleep. I felt
Yep.
I was it was scary, like
Now
really
you're paying for
terrifying.
two families. Yeah.
Terrifying. So now, like, I have now in my team, I have a single mom, I have people with kids, I have my own 5 kids.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, this is bad. Like, you wake up not only for yourself anymore. Now you have all this responsibility for everyone else. People underestimate that, right? And it's like
Yeah. Or they just don't know
the
it exists because they're like seeing all these stupid social media gurus just go sit on the beach and drink Mai Tais all day.
yeah,
Fucking ass, dude. You're sitting on the beach drinking a Mai Tai thinking about how you're going to get another check for the next client. You never
yeah,
stop working. I'm sitting there drinking a Mai Tai on the roof. Sure. It looks cool in a
yeah.
photo, but what's going through my head is what are all the 75 things that I haven't done today
How
that I
much?
probably should be
How
doing?
much? How many hours do you work a day?
I don't keep track, dude. I work till the work gets done. And when we were in Texas, man, it was probably 15 hours a day, 10,
Yeah,
15 hours nonstop. Now we're
yeah.
here. I've been less productive because I haven't been sleeping as good. So we have a super hard bed. So, I'm a little bit tired, a little bit off like my content
Hey
creation
man,
game.
like I
But
just came back from Germany, and I have to say this. Even Germany, Germany is not Thailand. All right.
yeah, yeah.
The thing is this. Even Germany, you get used to like how well we're like we're bedded here in the United States. Like really, like man, my back hurts so bad. Like, like is like the way the United States is set up was like convenience. Even
Mhm.
even the people that are claiming that are on the poorer side, the ones that are always complaining the loudest, man, you don't know how good you have it here.
Yeah, I know,
You don't
dude.
know until you go somewhere else, right? It's
Fly
like,
to a poor part of Thailand or go to a poor part in Mexico. I've been
yeah,
to like the poorest village in Mexico. They don't have running water and they have to go to an Olympic sized pool to bathe. The men go in the morning, the women go at night, and then they just keep the water in there.
yeah,
It's an Olympic sized pool and that's it. And
gross.
on mud ground that isn't even properly paved.
Yeah, yeah,
Half the houses are built by adobe that was just mud put together, or
yeah.
clay that was just stacked on the top that hopefully catches 85% of the rain. So
Right.
that way that
So that the thing is this, like, spoiled brats, the whole country. Like,
yeah,
but
man.
like
Yeah,
there's
man.
again the opportunity here, and also like I'm not saying like it's only here, but like there's tons. The market is just the sheer size of the US market is just amazing.
The sheer
Amazing for
size of
everyone.
just everything in general. I was just thinking about this, man. We were walking through the largest mall in Thailand. Maybe not in the Thailand, but in our area. There's probably 10,000 people inside that mall at the time that we were there. At the very least 10,000 people that went through the mall in a single day. 10K. If every single one of those 10,000 people gave you $5, you made $10,000 or $50,000 in a single day. The abundance of people that could just give you $5. And if you're in an American place, and I don't think you're in a major city, statistically, the average person in a major metropolitan area, you drop a pin of where you are at any given point in time. Within a 5 mile radius of you, there's probably 500,000 people within 5 miles of you.
If you're in a major city, yes. Like
Yeah, and which
I For example, we moved away from Chicago. Chicago, same deal.
Yeah, yeah. But
8 million,
on
8 million people. Yeah.
that same thing, right? That radius, if everybody within a 5 mile radius of you gave you $1, you had 500 grand that they just gave you $1 for 5 mile radius, right?
Mhm.
Like the abundant, everybody can afford $1. Every single person on this planet can afford $1. They could give,
God,
they could figure out how to give you $1.
people throw away their change in the United States. You can
So it's
afford a
like,
dollar easy.
yeah, the point though is the amount of abundance of actual money out there is unreal, and we don't see that. Like for some reason, we just forget how many fucking people are there, and all we have to do is provide a little bit of value for a lot of bit of people, or a lot of bit of value for a little bit of people, and you're
Yeah,
rich either way.
yeah, yeah. You're rich anyways if you're in the United States.
Yeah,
You just didn't discover your way of like
yeah,
taking the money from someone else. You know.
yeah, yeah. Who's got my money?
All right, who's got my money? All right, Jeff. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Every social media platform, the Jeff Trimble. So you go to TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, the Jeff Trimble, TheJeffTrimble. Or you can just go to jefftrimble.com and you'll find me there too.
Okay, perfect. Well, Jeff, thank you very much for coming on today to the Market and Main podcast. I really appreciate that, especially it's already late where you are. Um, you know, now you can go ahead and work for your clients because
I
they
know
just
I got,
they
I
just
got
got
junk
up.
to do. Yeah,
They
I
just
got
got up.
junk to do. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So, all right. Thank you very much.
No problem, man. It was nice chatting with you. I appreciate you.